Module 3, Unit 3, Establishing Coordinated Assessment in WASH. This unit will help you to understand main challenges of need assessment in emergency, be aware of the role of the coordinator in establishing coordinated assessments, know different types of assessments according to the different phases of a crisis, know the different phases involved in the assessment process, understand the principles of assessment in emergency. In the past weeks, heavy rains have caused serious flooding in some areas of Mail. The situation has led to mass displacement of several large IDPs and refugee camps and extensive damage to roads, bridges, clean water sources within the camps and in villages around Mongu, Kurfi, Gombo Am and Abujir. Daniel is experienced in conducting assessments in his organisation, but has little experience in coordinating joint assessments. He will ask Ahmed for technical advice.
Hi Ahmed. You know that the situation is getting worse in Mali due to the current rains. We need to update the information for WASH to draft an emergency response plan. I'm not sure whether a coordinated assessment is a suitable solution, as it will take a lot of time. What do you think?
You are right, Daniel. The process might be longer, but there are other advantages in undertaking coordinated assessments. The following course will help you to know them and also to be familiar with some assessment tools for the WASH sector.
Assessing needs in emergency is one of the main challenges of the humanitarian interventions. There are many reasons why needs assessments fail. First of all, conducting assessment is a complex exercise that requires scientific expertise, often lacking in some organisations. Harmonising tools and methodologies amongst different partners requires time that is also often a challenge in an emergency situation. As a result, most agencies use their own tools and methodologies and produce their own reports. In some cases, they are not willing or do not take the time to share their findings. When shared, a number of reports cannot be used as they have poor quality, or simply they've used very different formats, indicators and units of measures which don't make them comparable. Nowadays, there is a global agreement on the need of coordinated assessment. The main reasons are to ensure needs-based evidence, not individual priorities, to avoid duplication, and to facilitate a coherent approach within and out of clusters, to ensure involvement of the affected populations in the identification of their needs and suitable responses, and to avoid their fatigue by providing the same information to several agencies. The cluster or sector coordinator has a very important role to play in this process. He is seated in the best position to provide advice and to facilitate agreement on tools and methodologies, to select and train or supervise assessment team members, to coordinate different steps of the assessment process, to ensure coherence in planning, prioritization and response, call on support from skilled resources such as the Assessment Capacities Project, ACAPS, Reach Initiative or other NGO examples. This role is to be played within the sector as well as in the context of intersector platforms. As you know, there are different types of assessments that are used to assess needs of affected population in different phases of emergencies. Within 72 hours, a preliminary scenario definition, PSD, can be conducted. In hours and days just after an emergency, it is recommended to conduct initial intersector assessments to understand what happened, population and area affected magnitude of the disaster, etc. To assess what is needed to inform an emergency response, outside interventions, emerging threats, information gaps. To evaluate available resources and capacities of different actors. The multi-cluster initial rapid assessment, or the MIRA methodology, developed by the EASC in 2012, is one of the existing tools that can be used for intersector assessment. In the region, Kenya has developed a coordinated assessment mechanism, namely KIRA, Kenya Interagency Rapid Assessment. For the WASH sector, a specific tool has been developed by the Global WASH Cluster, the Rapid Assessment Tool, or RAT. The RAT is a ready-to-use tool tailored to assess main indicators for water supply, sanitation and hygiene in line with the Sphere standards. The package includes questionnaires and a customized analysis table in Excel to facilitate the analysis process and visualization of results. Even though the RAT is an excellent and harmonic tool, it might not be well adapted for certain types of disasters. As a result, some coordination platforms have customized the tool for the specific needs of their countries. Once the situation is stabilized, it is sometimes necessary to conduct in-depth assessments to better understand specific sector needs. An example of this is the Comprehensive Assessment Tool, or CAT, developed by UNICEF and specific for the WASH in-depth assessment. Coordination platforms might play an important role in harmonizing the methodologies and tools to make sure the results of such exercises can be used by all partners and, still more important, are in line with sector standards of intervention. Finally, it is important to know that assessment is a continual process as the situations evolve, and you might need to update the information you have to better tailor the response. You do not need to wait for an emergency to strike to develop and agree methodologies and tools for assessment with the partners. This is an important activity of preparedness and disaster risk reduction. Once the decision of conducting an assessment is taken by partners, the process involves several important phases. Phase 1, Coordination Meeting. Phase 2, Secondary Data Collection and Analysis. Phase 3, Development of tools for the primary data collection, if not existing, and training of enumerators. Phase 4, Primary Data Collection. Phase 5, Joint analysis of secondary and primary data. Phase 6, Report writing and dissemination of findings. All the phases are equally important, as assessment is a process that needs to be well planned and coordinated. When possible, affected population should be involved in the exercise. But this does not always imply jumping into a car and going to the field to collect primary data. Secondary data exists and is useful. The analysis is not a simple process of compiling primary data. It should include revision, comparison, and interpretation of information from different sources. Remember, the findings of the assessment will help to prioritize and better plan the response according to the needs of the most affected by the disaster.
Well, Daniel, I hope this has helped you to understand why it is important to spend some time in planning assessments, even in the context of emergency.
You are right, Ahmed. My next activity will be to make the plan of a coordinated assessment with the partner.
Great. I am ready to assist you if you need some help.